Here at Acme Motors, an important meeting is taking place. In a conference room inside the dealership, sales manager Bill Conway is talking to the salesman. His subject, how to sell the engines and transmissions which are now available on the all-new Plymouth for 1955. Let's hear what Bill has to say.
As you men know, our 55 Plymouth offers two great engines, a new, livelier PowerFlow 6 and the powerful new High-Fire V8. Add a choice of standard transmission, overdrive, or power flight, and we've got the performance to put us way ahead of our competition. Now, while our engines can talk by demonstrating, they can't answer the questions you're going to hear every day from prospects like these.
What's all this business about Polysphere combustion chambers?
Of course, the Plymouth V8 is brand new, isn't it?
Isn't your engine just like Ford's?
What about your six-cylinder engine?
The right answers to those questions will make sales. So we'll have to learn how and why our designs have more customer benefits than competition.
Only trouble with that, Bill, is that we're not mechanics. I'm not too sharp on the nuts and bolts side of this business.
That goes for me, too.
Now, that's what we're here for now, Sam. I'm going to explain the technical facts about these engines in a simple, down-to-earth way. And then we're going to figure out how to put these same points across to a customer in language that will help you sell cars. Now, to begin with, the Plymouth High-Fire V8 has two outstanding features, the power-poised valve arrangement and Polysphere combustion chamber. Let's take up the valve arrangement first. The intake and exhaust valves for each cylinder are located on diagonally opposite sides of the combustion chamber. Now, how does this arrangement differ from old-fashioned conventional designs? Well, on all competitive V8 engines, the intake and exhaust valves are crowded side by side on the same side of the combustion chamber. So they have to use smaller valves, which means those competitive engines can't do such a good job of flushing out the exhaust gases and drawing in a fresh supply of fuel-air mixture. Also, this side-by-side valve arrangement results in a hot spot between valves, which is almost impossible to cool effectively. But Plymouth's High-Fire V8 has intake and exhaust valves that are large and well-cooled for long power-producing life. These valves are not only big, but Plymouth's high-lift camshaft opens them exceptionally wide. As a result, the High-Fire V8 can breathe in and out fast and efficiently, even at top speeds. That's one big secret of its flashing, lively, yet economical performance. Well, so much for the power-poised valve arrangement. Now, about the Polysphere combustion chambers. Every inch of the combustion chamber surface is curved like part of a sphere. Now, this advanced design has two important advantages. First, the Polysphere combustion chamber doesn't waste heat energy like other designs. This means that the engine provides more performance from each drop of fuel. And second, the smooth, rounded shape of these chambers has no corners or pockets to accumulate carbon and cut power and cause engine knock. And so the engine is able to maintain peak power output for a longer period of time, which in turn means long-lasting new car performance. So there are two important features which put the High-Fire V8 away out front of competition: power-poised valves and Polysphere combustion chamber. Well, now, let's see how you fellas can sell those features to a prospect. Tom, suppose you show us how you'd go about it.
Okay. But to help get this story across, how about taking a valve cover off one of the floor models? I got the idea from a jeweler who took the back off an expensive watch and showed me the works. Now, I still don't know what makes a watch tick, but I sure was impressed by all those shiny precision parts. I'd like to use the same kind of showmanship with my prospects. It'll help them understand. Then, if I had a prospect right now who said,
Of course, the Plymouth V8 is brand new, isn't it? Wonder if it's safe to take a chance.
Yes, Mr. Barrett, it's true this is the first year that Plymouth has offered a V8 to the public, but that doesn't mean we're starting from scratch. The Hi-Fire V8 has many, many thousands of miles of rugged road testing behind it. And in designing it, Plymouth engineers took advantage of the corporation's experience in building V8s that have rolled up millions of miles of owner satisfaction. Also, we have the advantage of many time-tested features that all Plymouth owners enjoy. I'm talking about features like the floating oil intake and the rotary oil pump, things our competition still hasn't caught up with.
Then you claim your V8 is just as good an investment as Ford and Chevys, eh?
Mr. Barrett, I don't say this Hi-Fire V8 is just as good as competition. I say it's the best V8 engine in the low-price field. The Hi-Fire V8 is a large-bore, short-stroke engine, and that's the most advanced design there is, because it gives you maximum power with the least possible friction. Notice how the intake and exhaust valves are placed on opposite sides of the rocker shaft. Now you can see for yourself, if they were on the same side, they'd have to be much smaller.
Sure. What about it?
Well, Mr. Barrett, on competitive V8 engines, they are placed on the same side. They are smaller. That means poor engine breathing and a hot spot between valves that's hard to cool. But all that is avoided in Plymouth's new Hi-Fire V8. You see, when you compare engines, it's not the number of cylinders that counts. It's how efficiently you can feed in the fuel and exhaust the waste that really counts. Our Plymouth valve arrangement allows an easy flow of fuel and exhaust.
Well, that sounds reasonable, all right.
Well, that's not all the valve story either, Mr. Barrett. You see, this engine has a high-lift camshaft. It opens the valves extra wide, so there's another way we get better breathing. What's more, these valves have hydraulic tappets, which operate under a cushion of oil pressure. That oil cushion automatically takes up any slack in the valve linkage, so you get quiet operation, and you never have to pay for tappet adjustment.
Of course, I'm no engineer. I have to take your word for all this.
Well, here's something you can see with your own eyes. Take a look at this intake manifold. All the passages in this manifold are about the same length. That helps to ensure a balanced distribution of fuel-air mixture to every cylinder. Also, this engine has a special dual-throated carburetor. Each throat has its own section of manifold to service 4 cylinders. And no 2 cylinders, firing one after the other, draw fuel from the same manifold section. So all cylinders get the same amount of fuel. As a result, in the Plymouth V8, you don't have any efficiency loss due to starved cylinders. You get smooth, economical operation and full power all the time. Now, the exhaust manifolds carry out the waste gases that could block performance. So on Plymouth, there is a big separate exhaust port for each cylinder, not just 3 on each side like you'll find on ordinary V8 engines. Also, this engine has a large outlet for each manifold. That helps the engine breathe out freely with minimum back pressure, all of which gives you good acceleration, top performance, and long life.
Well, I must admit, either you're a good salesman or you really have a good engine here.
It's the engine, Mr. Barrett, and here's more proof of it. Underneath the cylinder head, the combustion chamber of each cylinder is dome-shaped.
Is that supposed to be important?
You bet it's important. The Plymouth design eliminates any corners or pockets where carbon might collect. And that's the power-robbing stuff that causes pre-ignition and loss of pep on competitive V8 engines, sometimes a 10% loss in 10,000 miles. So with a Plymouth Hi-Fire V8, you get more trouble-free miles, more miles of new car performance, and longer, more economical engine life.
Nice work, Tom. You really brought out plenty of good reasons why a man should buy a new Plymouth Hi-Fire V8. Now let's see what we can do with the Plymouth 6.
Bill, don't you feel our 6 will seem a little tame this year alongside the Hi-Fire V8?
I'm glad you brought that up, Sam, because I want to get one thing straight. Both of our engines have more high-quality features than any competitive 6 or 8-cylinder engine. Both Plymouth engines are built to deliver lasting owner satisfaction, And we're doggone lucky we can offer a choice. Because plenty of people will prefer a 6. It's just like, well, for example, I can afford an electric shaver, but I prefer a safety razor. And when it comes to engine design, well, remember, they call our Plymouth the cab owner's favorite. And those cab owners could have chosen a Ford V8, but they prefer a Plymouth because it's rugged and dependable. Those are qualities folks want. A lot of them will ask for a 6. A lot more will buy it if you sell it. Let me tell you the angles I hung my sales pitch on yesterday when a prospect said to me,
That car on the floor is a sweetheart. I'd buy it right now if it were only a V8.
well, have you ever driven one of our PowerFlow 6s?
Well, shucks, no. But if I'm going to buy a new car, I want the V8.
Well, Mr. Hobart, our PowerFlow 6 isn't just a good 6-cylinder engine. It's tops in its class. And there's a lot in it that's brand new this year. Now, don't take my word for its quality. Talk to cab drivers. They'll tell you it's the best on the road. Did you know our Plymouth 6 is favored by more cab owners than any other car?
Well, I have seen a good many Plymouth taxi cabs.
And the businessmen who buy those cabs don't go by guesswork, Mr. Hobart. Year after year, they buy the Plymouth 6 because they know it gives them more for their money. But let's get down to specific details. Do you like an engine with lively performance?
Sure, who doesn't?
Well, you'll get it in the PowerFlow 6. With a compression ratio of 7.25 to 1, this engine squeezes more power out of each drop of fuel. And then take ruggedness and dependability. This PowerFlow 6 is an L-head engine, the simplest, most reliable design there is. It has fewer working parts to get out of order. What's more, the engine block muffles the sound of the valve action, which gives you quieter operation.
I won't deny you've got some points there, but the fact still remains. The 6s are old-fashioned engines.
There's nothing old-fashioned about this PowerFlow 6, Mr. Hobart. It's the most modern 6 money can buy, because Plymouth is continually making it a better engine. The all-aluminum carburetor is just one of its many advanced features. Or take a feature like exhaust valve seat inserts. There's a Plymouth quality standard a lot of other cars still don't have. Our inserts give you thousands of miles of extra protection against damage that might otherwise cost you a valve grinding job. And what's more, every piston on this PowerFlow 6 has 4 rings, the top one chrome-plated. The chrome ring more than doubles piston and cylinder life. You won't find that feature on other cars in Plymouth's price range. Now, if Plymouth had wanted to produce a cheap engine, they could have skimped on those features. But they didn't. Those features prove that every detail of the PowerFlow 6 is engineered for quality. Well, fellas, you can see what I was doing. I didn't underrate the 6 just because we have a V8. I sold it on its own qualities. And this year, the 6 has more qualities than ever, so it should prove easier to sell than ever. Now, in selling either the V8 or the 6, there are many hidden features, small in themselves, that can help you sell the car if they're worked in naturally. Now, for instance, you could work up a little talk on the Plymouth features that make it easy starting. Pete, how would you get easy starting over to a prospect?
I think I could do it without even getting technical. Suppose I were demonstrating to a woman. Let's see, you've been driving a Ford, haven't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, that's right.
Then you're used to the old-fashioned hand choke. But you can forget all about that on your new Plymouth. You see, for years, our cars have had an automatic choke that does all your thinking for you and does the right job in cold weather as well as hot. All you have to do is turn this ignition key. And incidentally, this is another feature that Plymouth first pioneered, ignition key starting. It starts that easily, even in winter.
It does.
It sure does. And what's more, You won't have to go through all those false starts that end in a whir and make you run down your battery.
I thought that could happen on all cars.
Not on Plymouth. You see, we have what's called a follow-through starter. It doesn't stop working until the engine is actually running. By the way, did you ever have trouble with a frozen fuel line?
I certainly did. It happened twice last winter on my old car.
Well, you'll be protected against that on your new Plymouth, too. There's a filter in the fuel tank that blocks off water and dirt from the entire fuel system. It protects your lines and all, not just the pump or carburetor. And only Plymouth has it. And you won't have to worry about starting on rainy days either, because this Plymouth V8 has a waterproof ignition system.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, sir, Pete. That's what I meant about working our plus points in naturally. Now, Vic, can you think of any other sales features we haven't covered?
Well, here are a couple of features I wouldn't overlook. I might cover them this way. And here's an advantage, Mr. Brown, that's built into all Plymouth engines, and only Plymouth in its class. Each of these spark plugs has a resistor that saves the points from burning. Plymouth plugs don't have to be serviced or replaced nearly as often as ordinary plugs. This Plymouth cooling system will save you money, too.
How so?
Well, you see, other cars have a sealed cooling system that operates under pressure all the time. That puts the system under quite a strain, and eventually it can lead to hose leaks and even radiator leaks. The Plymouth system is different. This special radiator cap seals the system only when needed to prevent boiling. Other times it operates at normal atmospheric pressure. This way there's no undue strain on the hose and radiator. That's a worthwhile feature, isn't it, Mr. Brown?
Those are good points, Vic. And there are many more you could bring in. Because we all know that Plymouth, more than any other car, is engineered for quality plus economy. Advantages people want. And now then, fellas, we still have one important subject to talk about. And that's power flight. I think all of us here know the many advantages which power flight has over other automatic transmissions. More get up and go at breakaway and drive range, smoother acceleration, simpler operation, and fewer parts for greater reliability. And this year, there's a dramatic change. The selector lever is on the instrument panel instead of the steering column. Sam, let's see how you'd go about presenting that feature to a prospect.
Bill, to begin with, I think this is one feature we should take the initiative on and sell hard, not just wait for the customer to ask questions about it. Here's the way I'd talk it up. Miss Green, Plymouth's Power Flight has always had the most simple shifting arrangement of any automatic transmission, but now we've gone one step further. You see, on the ordinary setup, you have to shift a lever under the wheel to move a quadrant pointer in a different location and a completely different plane. But Plymouth has now combined these two items in flight control, which is one simple installation here on the instrument panel. You see where you're putting the lever. You couldn't possibly make the wrong shift accidentally. Just try it. See? Simply a flick of the finger and you're in drive range. The setup is so simple even a beginner could shift with his eyes closed. Flight control is a more dependable system, too. It has a simpler, more direct linkage. It's protected against snow and dirt, which cause hard shifting. And the payoff is your beautiful new steering wheel is left completely free and uncluttered.
Nice work, Sam. With that kind of sales talk, plus all of Power Flight's many other advantages, we can pack a real sales punch when it comes to automatic transmissions. Yes, this combination of Power Flight with a choice of either the High-Fire V8 or the Power Flow 6 gives us the finest power package in the industry to offer the public. And if you tell all your prospects the same power story you've heard here today, you'll have an audience that pays off in signed orders.